What is going on, everyone? New York Mets Talk with Hayden J here, or Mets Talk with Hayden J here, as I should say. What is going on, everyone? I hope we are all doing extremely well. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about. I know we're doing a stream 30 minutes a little bit later than usual today. I figured, how it would pan out. Maybe we'll get a couple of people in the chat today. That is the goal, as always. But yeah, I hope everyone is doing well. If you are new to the channel, as always, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications. If you're rewatching this on replay, kudos to you. Kudos to you pretty much. Otherwise, I appreciate everyone for tuning into today's stream. Quickly, stop wasting any time. In today's stream, we are going to be going over the New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies series preview. Then we are going to be transitioning into the New York Mets and Boston Red Sox two-game series. The Mets are going to Boston for an interleague matchup. Pretty historic matchup. I always like to see these interleague teams that don't really play each other a lot, especially since they are a very historic team. So pretty much, and then we are going to be going over the standings as always, because pretty much what's going on in baseball is pretty much baseball starting to wind down, and the wild card is really starting to be set. The divisions are already being taken. We saw the Brewers clinch. So we're going to get into all of that today. So before we get into everything, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, all of that great stuff. So let's stop wasting any time. So pretty much getting into game one, we could see the New York Mets, unfortunately, but I guess luckily, did not get swept. So that's the big thing that matters here. But pretty much getting into game one, we could see the New York Mets lost game one by a score of 4-3. Yes, the Mets lost a one-run game. Pretty surprising, I know. But pretty much getting into game one, we could see the Mets lost 4-3, a one-run game, like I said. Pretty much getting right into it, we could see Taijuan Walker had a pretty solid outing. Really no complaints for Walker. He's been pretty solid for us this season. 5 innings pitched, surrendered 3 hits, 2 runs, 0 walks, and 3 strikeouts. I really been liking what I've been seeing from Walker. His two-seamer has been looking amazing. We could see with his two-seamer, he's really been transitioning the use of his two-seamer opposed to the four-seamer to prevent the long ball, hard contact kind of results. And we've been seeing that through him a lot. So I've been liking that. His velocity's up there, and he is pounding the strike zone extremely well. It is what I like to see in Taijuan Walker. Great, solid outing, his win-loss record. Oh, yeah, you know what? Win-loss record, it's a foolish thing in baseball with pitchers. The pitchers, they can't control their win-loss record. Look at Jacob deGrom. Look at Marcus Stroman. These guys are giving up a run, or more like a hit in the game, and pretty much, their offense doesn't really carry them. So you really can't blame, that on these guys. So pretty much, Walker pitched pretty solid. Aaron Loup came in. Aaron Loup is a guy that has been amazing for the Mets. Aaron Loup came in solid. Lugo came in. Unfortunately, he did struggle. He did give up a run. Lugo and Hand both gave up a run. Both came into the game. They struggled. Familia came in pretty solid. And then once again, Edwin Diaz came in pretty solid. No complaints out of those 3 bullpen arms. Our bullpen has been it's been okay this season. It's been getting iffy, but it's surviving. Much better than what it was in 2019. We'll say that. Pretty much getting into the Mets offense. The offense really struggled this season. Getting into the offense, we could see getting into the 4th inning on game 1, we could see that Javier Baez had an RBI single to drive in Brandon Nimmo. Great to see Javier Baez really looking hot and providing when it was bases loaded, because the Mets had so many chances with runners in scoring position this season, and we really kind of blew it. Javier Baez had an RBI single to drive in Brandon Nimmo. Great to see. Whatchamacallit. And then what else happened? Pretty much the offense, we got lucky with Zach Wheeler going into the 4th inning. We had bases loaded. We were only able to score one run on that. I wish we could have done more, because, you gotta get Wheeler when he's struggling. Wheeler, he'll get his stuff back together, just like a lot of other pitchers. They're not like Met pitchers. They will get their stuff back together. So you want to do as much as you can against these guys. In terms of the 8th inning, Kevin Pillar had a double to center field to drive in Conforto. And another struggle offensively, like we stated, 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position, stranded 8 on base. Pretty much we couldn't really attack Wheeler fully. It really struggled. And yeah, that's pretty much the Mets, pretty much. Getting into game 2. Game 2 was really something else. Simply enough, taking a look at game 2, we could see the Mets lost game 2 5-3. I think it's good that we lost 5-3 rather than 5-4, because I think if we lost another 1-run game, I probably would have jumped out the window. Game 2, we had Carrasco on the bump for the New York Mets. Pitched pretty solidly, Carrasco. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Pretty solid outing for Carrasco. We've really been seeing the same thing with Carlos Carrasco, and that is that he really gets smashed up in the first inning. So Carrasco really has to be able to learn how to control himself in the first inning. I was about to shut my TV off, but I was like, nah, you know what? I'm a Mets fan. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to suffer through the rest of this. So yeah, he's really been struggling in the first inning. The long ball has been something that's been going on. Outfield was very, very busy with fly balls, but effective. We could see Brad Hand came in following. Brad Hand, hey, it's 2-3. Let's put in Brad Hand to give up some more runs. Yeah, let's do that. Brad Hand came in, struggled with command. Allowed some runs in. That was unfortunate. Trevor May came in to clean up Hand's mess. Castro came in following that, struggled with the command once again, and then Jeurys Familia came in. Jeurys Familia was pretty quiet. Honestly, no complete issues with him this series. In terms of the Mets offense, we could see in the 6th inning, Francisco Lindor had an RBI ground out to drive in Nimmo. If I had $1 every time the Mets had RBI ground outs, I would probably be a very wealthy person. Listen, it's run production, but you got to be able to do more than that. I understand teams like the Dodgers do it. That's great. But the Mets got to be able to do a little bit more than that in terms of run production. So that was that. Pretty much in the 7th inning, we had Dominic Smith, who has been facing a lot of time on the bench, as we could say. It was really good to see Dom Smith get out and off the bench, and it came into effect. Dom Smith came out as a pitch hitter, gets an RBI single to drive in Javier Baez. And then in the 8th inning, Brandon Nimmo hits a solo home run to right field. Good to see. Pretty much, we couldn't really get Nola crazily. He's a low velocity guy. 1 for 3 with runners in scoring position and 7 hits. That's how the cookie crumbles. What could you say? So that was that. And getting into game 3, Sunday Night Baseball. The Mets have been doing actually a little bit better on Sunday Night Baseball. Usually there was the stereotype that the Mets are terrible on Sunday Night Baseball, and they actually were able to survive. So good for them. I will take that. As we could see, getting into Sunday night's game last night, the New York Mets won last night's game. What a surprise. The Mets won. That is right. We had Rich Hill on the bump for the New York Mets, 4.2 innings pitched, surrendered 6 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 7 strikeouts. We could see Rich Hill's sidearm slider has really been working for him this season. We see a lot of guys, Rich Hill, he's old, he's a veteran, so he's really going to have to start relying on another way to really be effective, and that is what's been working for Rich Hill. We saw he really introduced the sidearm slider. I believe it was the National Series. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I believe it was the National Series. And it's been working for him pretty good there. Whoops, that fell. It's been working for him. Obviously, his sidearm slider's been there. His strikeouts are going up. 7 strikeouts and 4.2 innings pitched. That's pretty good for him. Strikeouts are up there. Velocity was up there. I think his fastball got like 91 at one point. So, good for him. Rich Hill has been honestly a really good guy that I've been very impressed with on this Mets team. Obviously, getting into the bullpen, pretty much Rojas took him out because, he allows 2 runners on, and, you look at the difference between Girardi and Rojas, how they really handle that. Obviously, he put in Familia to pretty much close up his mess, if you want to call it, which wasn't really a mess. Rojas put Familia in, quiet. May, Lugo, quiet, no complaints with those guys. Aaron Loop came in. He surprisingly went more than an inning. He went 1.1 innings pitched. What a surprise. Quiet. He officially has a 1 ERA on the season, pretty elite. And then Edwin Diaz came in, who for a minute, I thought he was going to blow it. He closed the game his 30th of the season. But it was not pretty. His command of the slider wasn't there. The slider, he was right to choose the slider, the fastball. He just, almost taken out the batters' heads. Harper ended it on a huge sac fly. Diaz put his hand up, huge sac fly to the warning track for McNeil to grab. So in terms of the offense, in the 5th inning, we had Dom Smith had an RBI double to drive in McNeil and Nito. Good to see Dom Smith coming off the bench. In the 7th inning, Jeff McNeil becomes clutch, had a solo home run to right field, 417 feet. First home run since May 1st, so good to see. We were able to get Kyle Gibson, third time around the order. That was something we really saw earlier on in the season, where the Mets offense really wasn't doing anything till early on. More so later on in the lineup, in the 3rd or 4th round around the lineup. So good to see. And yeah, pretty much, we did struggle with runners in scoring position. Yes, we won the game, but it was a low scoring game. 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position, stranded 6 on base, double plays. I mean, we didn't see too many, but saw a lot of guys get stranded on second base. I think that's the new Mets thing. In terms of the win, Aaron Loup was eligible for the win, his 6th of the season, and Edwin Diaz gets his 30th save of the season. So that is the New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies series preview. I think, series summary, my apologies. Listen, it's unfortunate that the Mets couldn't have taken at least 2 out of 3, but you know what? I think it's good that we prevented a Phillies sweep. That is what I will ask for. So that is the Phillies and Mets series summary. But now diving into other things. The Mets and Red Sox are coming into to play. The Mets are in Boston, I think, right now as we speak. So that is awesome to see. Getting into it, let's get into the Mets and Red Sox series. Game 1 will be tomorrow. Today is an off day for the Mets. The Mets, I think they did need an off day, so we will say that. But getting into it, Game 1, which is Tuesday, tomorrow at 7:10, we will have Marcus Stroman on the bump for the New York Mets. Stroman has been pretty solid this season. Don't be fooled by his win-loss record. 9-12, like I said, win-loss record. It's so silly in baseball. But 2.88 ERA, 151 strikeouts. Stroman's having an amazing year, like I stated. His strikeouts are really up there. He wasn't really a guy who was known for his strikeouts, but hence the splitter slider has really been effective for him, getting a lot of swinging and misses. His chase rate up. Ground balls are still there. It's good to see him keep the ball on the ground rather than line drives or in the air. You don't want to have long balls, obviously. And he's been hitting, he's been going more innings, I feel. We've really been seeing his pitch count really kind of top out, I think, at, around 90, 100 before. So that's good to see out of Stroman. So Game 1 tomorrow will be Stroman on the bump. Getting into the Red Sox starter, Eduardo Rodriguez. Personally, I couldn't tell you much about him, but from the research, 11-8 on the season. He has a flat 5 ERA and 16 strikeouts. He has a nice four-seam fastball with low velocity, and he's a left-hand pitcher. So if most of you guys know me on the channel well, those are my 3 rules for the Mets to beat. Low velocity, left-hand pitcher, four-seam fastball. Unfortunately, you have that in one guy. The Mets, I feel like their offense is going to struggle. It probably is early on. They're going to have to attack the Red Sox bullpen. It's probably the best thing. Rodriguez does give up a lot of hard contact. Maybe Pete Alonso or someone, Nimmo, could maybe take advantage of that. So that'll be Game 1 tomorrow at 7:10. Getting into Game 2. Game 2 will really be something. Game 2 will be Wednesday at 7:10. We will have Tyler Mcgill on the bump for the New York Mets. Mcgill has been a guy who coming off some iffy starts, so hopefully he could really try and turn it around. So Mcgill is 3-5 on the season, has a 4.57 ERA and 91 strikeouts. The big topic coming into play for him is going to be his limiting his innings pitched. Obviously, Rojas hasn't really stated that he wants to limit McGill's innings pitched because, he was in the minor leagues. I think he only topped out at like 50, really. So that's going to be the thing for Tyler Mcgill ahead. Otherwise, I like what we've been seeing out of Mcgill, more swinging and misses. His velocity's up there. He's been mixing his pitches very well. Always good to see a rookie really mix his pitches and really control himself when he's getting into a big jam. That's been something that Mcgill has been well with. He's very mature. He'll give up 3 runs in the first inning and, he'll be, shake it off. Kind of like what Steven Matz couldn't do. Mcgill's been looking good. No complaints with him. On the Red Sox bump, we will be facing the one and only Chris Sale. Chris Sale is back from injury. He's back from, I think it was Tommy John, I believe. He's a left-handed pitcher also, so that also makes you want to cry. But yeah, no, Chris Sale's been looking good so far. He's been back with this team for a month, and he's been looking pretty solid. 4-0 on the season, 2.40 ERA, and 31 strikeouts. As we did state, he is a left-handed pitcher, so that is a bit worrisome, I will say. He has a nice slider, very nice slider to cut. Otherwise, I mean, Chris Sale, you don't have a huge sample size. I think he's only pitched in like 5 games so far. But Alex Cora's letting him go out there and pitch as much as he wants. There wasn't really an established pitch count for him. We've been seeing he's been providing a much lower launch angle, which I guess is good if you pitch at Fenway. I mean, we'll have to see. So yeah, Chris Sale's been looking good. He is a left-handed pitcher, so that is obviously the concern for the Mets lineup, is to be able to hit against him. So we're going to have to see. So yeah, Chris Sale's been looking good. Pretty much in terms of the Mets going into the season, they are 73-77. Obviously, that is a bit of a struggle, a little bit of a concern, and they are 29-44 on the road. Yikes. Their playoff chances is legitimately 1%. It's pretty safe to say. We are facing back-to-back left-handed pitchers, so the offense really needs to be able to hit. The offense really needs to be able to wake up this series and really provide something. In terms of my players of the series, because we know I'm going to start to do that now, personally, my player of the series is going to be Pete Alonso. He's been looking pretty good. He's been hitting the ball well. I mean, Fenway Park has a shallow center field and a short right field wall. So pretty much Alonso pretty much got creamed to that against the Yankees. Alonso hit the ball pretty well to Gardner. And who was the other person? I believe it was Aaron Judge. And I mean, if he hit that at Fenway or Camden, that ball would have been gone. So I think Alonso could have a nice time at Fenway. He has some pretty good stats there. He's only played there, I think, twice, but he has some pretty good stats there. So yeah, he will be the player to watch. In terms of the Boston Red Sox, they're going on a hunt. We will talk about them later on. But the Red Sox are 86-65, 47-29 at home. They've been looking good, the Red Sox. If you want to say it's the Alex Cora effect, say whatever you want. Red Sox, they're looking good. They are first in the wild card spot. They're pretty much a team that will hit for a high average, high on base percentage. Their pitching has been pretty solid. Their offense has really been carrying them. I mean, they've been a bit sluggish, if you want to say. I mean, I don't want to say I don't want to say they've been sluggish, but they've took a small dive a little bit since their whole outbreak. But they've been playing well. They're coming off a big series sweep against the Orioles, so that's going to be something to see. And the player to watch is Bobby Dahlbeck, a guy who wasn't really, I mean, he had huge expectations going into the season, and then simply enough with him, he's kind of been pretty good for them, obviously. The second half, he's been exploding very well, and we're just going to have to see how that goes. So that is it with the New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies series preview. New York Mets and Boston Red Sox series preview, and Phillies summary. My bad. I keep flipping them together. It's a pain. So yeah, now we are going to get into your guys' comments. So if anyone has any comments, questions, concerns, drop them down in the comments section below. I love to always hear what you guys have to say. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on with the Mets. I know there's some talks of a new GM, a new president of operations potentially. You know, Sandy Alderson's been hovering around in the news lately. So if you guys have any comments, questions, or concerns, always drop them below. But yeah, I mean, what's going on, everyone? Devin, Kobe, Quentin, Ice Cube, Christopher, Gio, Quentin, what's going on, guys? What's going on? Gio says the Mets offense will come back as soon as the team is mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Imagine LOL. The Mets need to be able to work around the clock all year. Yeah, man, I think I said that last night on someone else's stream, so that's kind of funny. Yeah, to be honest with you, I agree with you. And, you know, I think the Mets, they need to be able to consume time. And pretty much what I mean by that is in 2019, the Mets were able to control their stuff, but it was too late. They were able to kind of control the bullpen to an extent, but it was too late and you were out of the run. So, when we were talking about in August saying, oh, it's August, our offense could hold up till then. And, look what happened. Michael, what's going on, man? Michael says, glad to see the Mets break a 5-game losing skid. Yeah, that is true, man. That is true. Mets are done, but what's the World Series prediction, says Christopher. Yeah, we're going to get into that probably when I go over these standings. Maybe I'll touch on that. Nick says, Jeff McNeil was due for a clutch home run. Yeah, McNeil was really due for a clutch home run. I'm not going to lie. Karen says, hey, Hayden, what's going on? Colby, what's going on? Travis, I appreciate you tuning in. Colby, this is a good question. Which team has been more of a disappointment, the Mets or the Padres? To be honest with you, I'm probably going to say, the Padres are still contending. They're still in the realm of being above 500, potentially still competing for the wild card. The Mets are pretty much just out of it. People were talking about the Padres as World Series favorites, not so much the Mets. So I'm going to say the Padres just because, the rotation, Blake Snell and Yu Darvish kind of took a small dive in the first half, and they've recovered, but, they blew a fair amount of games. So, time kind of told for them, like what, who was it before was saying it? Someone else was saying before. We're going to have to see how that goes. But, yeah, I agree with you, man. I think the Padres are definitely probably the team that's have more of a disappointment in their season. Injuries with Tatis. We know Machado and Tatis had a small argument, an altercation. We all know what happened in the dugout, Busch Stadium, and they lost. Pretty weird to see. Nick, what's going on, man? Christopher says Padres are like fireworks. Done. Yeah, they're definitely still contending, so it's not completely done. But they get swept by the Cardinals to help them out. Marco, what's going on? Karen, LFGM. Yes. Marco says, I wish DeGrom was healthy and playing. I agree. I agree, man. I really wish he was. Ice Cube says, Toronto or Tampa Bay? Who do you have winning the series? Yeah, it's going to be a good series, I believe, tonight. It's Robbie Ray against that rookie guy, like Shane Baez, I think is his name. Prospect being called up for his first start. That's going to be a good game. I'm going to watch that game because the Mets are off today, so I'm probably going to catch that game. I think it's at 7. I'm going to watch that game. So, to be honest with you, Blue Jays are hot. They really are offensively. And, you have Robbie Ray on the bump tonight. Rays, they're still doing good. You got, a little oofed up against the Tigers. But Tigers also hot now, so that's something. I'm probably going to go Blue Jays are going to take 2 out of 3. YouTube Productions, what's going on, man? Ruben, what's going on? Yeah, Karen wants the ground back, of course. FGM. Kobe says the real Mets fans watch all games. Preach it, of course, Kobe. All the Met fans watch every single game. That is true. That is true. Quentin says we should play on Sunday Night Baseball every week. Oh, every week next year because we always win on Sunday Night Baseball. And that's funny because in the past I've said, oh, the Mets are doing terrible on Sunday Night Baseball. And now they're actually doing pretty well on Sunday Night Baseball. I know. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe. A lot of this Mets team feeds off of energy. So you thought that this team would be playing good on national TV because this was a team, like I said, that feeds off the energy. Pete Alonso feeds off energy. Honestly, we're going to have to see that, how this is going to go. I think it's going to be something, so we will have to see. Galapos says, which player is the most urgent to extend now? Yeah, that's a good question, Galapos. I think I'm going to touch on that a little bit more towards the end of this stream. I'm going to get into Sandy Alderson, all those knuckleheads pretty shortly. I want to keep that on one topic. That way I don't just keep repeating myself. Quentin says, it's crazy how Rich Hill has been one of our best pitchers. I wonder if we could see him next year in the bullpen or so. I honestly wouldn't mind keeping him in the bullpen, to be honest with you. He's a nice lefty. The Mets are kind of lacking left-handed pitching. In terms of the bullpen, you really just have Aaron Loop. Brad Hand's probably going to go. So it'd be nice to give Loop some comfort, another lefty in that rotation. In the bullpen. Rotation, too, you need some. But I don't think he'll be a rotation pitcher, personally. I think he'll be in the bullpen. Rich Hill's been nice. He really has. He was a great player with Tampa Bay. Rich Hill has had a pretty adequate season, really. Nobody crazy, but he gets the job done. Like I said, Rich Hill is a guy who his baseball savant, his baseball reference, his MLB stats, whatever, they won't look great, but he's effective. So yeah, I really hope Rich Hill and the Mets can have something going for a while. Michael Lambert says, what do you think the Mets will do with Conforto this offseason? Yeah, I'm going to get into that, so I'm going to skip over that for a minute. Cole, what's going on, dude? Appreciate you tuning in. Cole, baseball's my air. Appreciate it. Eric is going to say Aaron Loup, National League reliever of the year, 2021. Yeah, honestly, I mean, unfortunately, he doesn't have that many innings pitched. I think he only has like 50 or so pitched. So obviously comparing him to a guy like Hader or someone else, it'd be slim chances. But I mean, if he had 100 innings pitched, 100%. AB, what's going on, man? Logan, Connor, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Cole says the Mets are doomed. Sadly. Jed is going to say, what do you think? Extend Baez. What do you think? Extend Stroman, Baez, Loup, and give a qualifying offer to Conforto and Thor. Yeah, so I guess we'll touch on it now. Why not? So this is what I am thinking in terms of the Mets offseason. I agree with Jed. I want to extend Stroman. Stroman has been awesome for us this season. He's improving. He's claiming to be this guy how he was in Toronto, an all-star, Cy Young caliber type of guy, and I think we're finally seeing that in Stroman. I want to extend Stroman. Would I give him 6-7 years like they're saying? I feel that's a little too long. I'm thinking maybe 4. 4 years I think is solid, maybe 5. So I'm extending Stroman. I am extending Baez in a heartbeat. Baez has been awesome for us this season. He's been putting up better numbers than Cespedes since joining in 2015. But the issue is no one else is doing anything besides Baez and maybe Alonso and Nimmo. So that's the issue. But yeah, Baez has been looking awesome. Baez, his walk rate has increased. His strikeout rate has decreased. Chase rate has decreased. He's hitting more long balls, more power. He's going the other way more. His defense is solid. I think he's only made like 1 or 2 errors with the Mets, so nothing crazy. I'm liking what I am seeing with him. Loop. I mean, Loop's a small one. I mean, Loop, I think will get done. You don't have to put much pressure into Loop. I think he'll easily come back. No worries about him. Like I said, Loop, I mean, ever since you lost Justin Wilson, who I guess that was kind of a blessing, it's always good to have another left-handed pitcher. Pretty much in the bullpen, obviously. I mean, the Mets really lack it. So I agree with you on Aaron Loop. Let's see, who else did you name? And a qualifying offer to Conforto and Thor. Yeah, Thor obviously is going to get a qualifying offer, I believe. He's coming off of Tommy John, so I don't really think many teams are going to go crazy about him. Sure, some teams will sign him, but I think he'll stick with the Mets easily. And Conforto is the big picture, really. Conforto is a guy who I would really hate to see walk, because I could easily see Conforto going to a team like the Yankees, going to the Cardinals, going to the Phillies, and just destroying and putting up MVP numbers there. Conforto is a guy who I really want to work with him, and it's tough because he has Scott Boras as an agent. Listen, I respect the dude. He's a pain in the behind, but you know what? I respect him. He fights for his guys, which is great. Better than some other agents we've seen this offseason. I'm sure we all know who I'm talking about. But obviously, Conforto is a guy that I automatically think could put up MVP numbers once he leaves. Conforto is pretty much a casualty of what is it called? Conforto is a casualty of the shift. Conforto is a guy who we saw it. He's capable of beating the shift. But I think the two struggles with Conforto this season is he's getting a little cocky on what pitches to swing at. He stares at some pitches down the middle. Number 2, he really needs to start leveling that bat more, trying to go for more of that launch angle. We've been seeing a lot of ground balls out of Conforto. Try to get some more launch on that balls, increase the degrees. And then thirdly, beat the shift. I mean, we've seen Conforto be able to beat the shift. For most of his career, we have seen that. And, he's not beating the shift. Unless MLB bans the shift, then Conforto is an easy 300 hitter. But sadly, that's not the case. Obviously, I would love to work with this dude, but I just think you can't give him $200 million now. Conforto is a guy who's been consistent for most of his career. He hasn't really been too streaky for most of his career, and I'm saying most, so don't flip out. I would love for him to come back. It's just, what do you, the Mets said they're going to give him a qualifying offer. I don't know if he's going to accept it, to be honest with you. I really don't think Conforto is going to accept that qualifying offer. And I think that's going to lead to a lot of other unfortunate stuff. I'm hoping the Mets could be able to work with him. Like I said, Scott Boras is a tough guy. Worst case scenario, the Mets are like unable to work with him on a qualifying offer. I think maybe they could look into a 2-year deal or something. I don't know. I think they could work out something. AB Fenway is really, I didn't mean to say that. I meant to say right field. It's really short as well as center field. Glapo says, how much is Cano coming back, going to screw us this offseason? Yeah, so pretty much there was a little thing that was tweeted out or put on Twitter or whatever that pretty much just said that Cano, if he plays in like the winter ball, that they would consider throwing him at third base, which pretty much drove me nuts as soon as I heard that. Cano is like 37 years old. Cano's a guy who I think he has some stuff left in him, but that sounds like a Wilpon Sandy thing to put him at third base when you have the option to go for Correa, Bryant. I don't really think Bryant's going to go anywhere. I think he's going to stay in San Francisco. The Giants, they're a winning ball team. They're going to the playoffs. And they really have a huge veteran core. Brandon Belt, Crawford, Posey, and they're in their mid-30s. So it comes to how long are they going to be around for? So I think they're going to want to sign Bryant. I think he's 29, 30. He's in his prime age to a long deal so that he could be with his team for a long amount of time. So personally, I don't see Bryant leaving San Francisco. I think Correa is our best bet at third base, and I don't mind Correa at third base. Shortstop to third base, it's a short distance, so nothing crazy. But Correa, he has a cannon of an arm, great range, nice Puerto Rican third base, shortstop, second base, and then you got Alonso at first. I'd be down to that. Offensively, he's great. He hits the ball well, great speed, athleticism on the base pass. He has the swag, the drip, just like Baez and Lindor. I'm down to it. Personally, Baez contract and say, see ya. If you want him as a bench bat, maybe. Nice veteran presence, but I don't want him starting. LFGM, of course. Galapagos says, Sandy, got to go ASAP. We need Theo Epstein. If he can't beat the Mets curse, no one can. Great work. I appreciate it, man. Obviously, it's going to come to the question is Sandy is staying. A lot of people were, like myself, were surprised that he was staying, and everyone was like, oh, but he has another year in his contract. Well, there's something called being fired. Ooh, someone being fired. People get fired for not doing their jobs. And it came into a big thing that Steve Cohen has yet to fire him. It sucks. I think you have the guy from Milwaukee. I think his name is David Stearns. He's been a possibility to have been in the air. David Stearns. If you could try to get a guy from the Rays, that would be amazing. Theo Epstein has been a guy. And then the guy from Oakland, I forgot his name. I'm going to have a lot of brain farts today. Obviously those three guys could really work well. But are they going to want to work under Sandy? That's my question. Theo Epstein was a GM in Chicago, and now he's working with MLB, like the analytical department with Rob Manfred. That's a huge, huge upgrade. So if anything, he'd be going to a downgrade. Would he want the job? Listen, being a GM, Billy Beane, that's who it is. I appreciate it. Yeah, Billy Beane. We'll get into him too. But being a Mets GM in New York, that's a big time job. You got to deal with everything, all the nonsense. I feel Theo Epstein, he's living his life in California. Is he going to want to come out of it? Maybe. Billy Beane is a guy I also think is possible. He played for the Mets in the early 80s. Taking a look-see at Billy Beane, obviously, everyone says, oh, but he never spent money. Well, yeah, because he had an Oakland payroll. I think he's ambitious now to want to spend money. So personally, I'm down to it. Those three guys, I think, are the best candidates, and we'll see. Of course, Paul. I agree. You have to watch him till no matter what. Quentin, LFGM, I appreciate it, Quentin. Ice Cube says, DeGrom is under contract until after the 2022 season. Do you think he will stay once the Mets? Oh, 100%. DeGrom, in my opinion, is a Met for life. The first thing that Steve Cohen stated when coming into the Mets ownership is that one of the few things he remembers as a Mets fan, as a child, as an adolescent, is remembering the Mets trade away Tom Seaver to the Reds and how heartbroken it left them. Cohen's, had a personal huge connection to DeGrom, and he said he wants DeGrom to be a Met for life. They've asked DeGrom a lot during last offseason, comparing him to guys like David Wright, who were Mets for their whole season, and I think DeGrom likes it here. And I think DeGrom is easily a Met for life. I agree. I think the Mets probably may look at an extension for him. He's going to be a big extension too, just because of the money and how much years. But him willing is 100%. He's down. It's just the money and the years is going to be something with the AAV. Mitchell Siggs, what's going on? We have a Marlins fan in the chat. I appreciate you tuning in. Just even though I'm a Marlins fan, I think the Mets are going to be scary next year. I agree with you, man. As much as I maybe Marlins talk with Hayden sometimes, rocking the Marlins hat, not the Mets hat. Mets are definitely going to be a team to play really well next season, I think. And the expectations coming into this season. But sadly, kind of took a big kaputskis. But yeah, I think the Mets are going to be a good, scary next team next year. The Mets had their honeymoon year, as I like to call it. And I think next year will be a year that hopefully they could really explore in. Mark, what's going on? Baseball's my says, what's the biggest reason for the Mets failing, in your opinion? Offense or injuries? To be honest with you, I'm probably going to say the injuries just because we came to a point where pretty much legitimately 80% of our roster was on the IL at one point. And you had Tovar, Williams, Lee pretty much starting out there. So, yeah, that's where I'm probably going to go with that, to be honest with you. Yeah, AB, if you want to consider that, if you want to message me on Discord or Twitter and we could talk. Personally, I don't really care for mods. I mean, I don't really ban anyone or kick anyone. I mean, you could speak your mind on here, you curse out the Mets, whatever. As long as you're not saying anything like racist or sexist, I really could care less. I don't really give out mods, but I mean, maybe if you want, feel free to message me. Yeah, Billy Bean was the guy. And he's going to say, coming from a Yankees fan, both. Yeah, I mean, Yankees definitely had injuries. And their offensive production, which kind of halted with runners in scoring position. Facts, and yeah. So now we are going to get into the good part of today's stream, and that is going over the MLB standings. Let's go. Pretty much. A lot has happened in the MLB standings. Kind of. Some bit has happened a little bit in the MLB standings since I showed it to you guys last. So let's dive right into that. Let me pull that up. Please stand by. But we have 12 people in the chat. I really appreciate everyone for tuning in to the stream. As always, really appreciate kind words you guys have to share in the channel. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button, turn on those post notifications, all that great stuff. Gods of Gaming, what's going on, man? I appreciate you tuning in. He says the Rays fell apart to the Tigers. Yeah, they really did. They really did. And we're going to get into that. I did see the Brett Phillips walk-off on TV. I watched some of that game because the Mets were struggling, and I was going to throw something out the window, so I turned that game on, and first thing I see is Brett Phillips hit a moonshot home run. It wasn't a line drive home run, a moonshot home run. So let's get into this. So we have a lot of teams that are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs already. But getting into it, we could see that the AL East, let's go over a quick rundown of what happened the last couple games. The Tampa Bay Rays are in first place, 92-58. They're in first place. Possible they can get to 100 wins. They're coming off a 2-game losing streak against the Tigers. It's going to be something with them. The AL East has a lot of in-division matchups coming up. So we're going to have to see, really how they can fight it and if they really want to be in the playoffs or not. Coming off a 2-game losing spree, they're 4-6 in their last 10. So that's something you don't like to see. But they're still a good team. They're playing the Blue Jays tonight. So we are going to have to see how that rolls. Boston Red Sox, they're coming off a pretty interesting start also against the Orioles. They swept. I think they took 2 out of 3 against the Mariners, I believe. So they have a 5-game winning spree, 7-3 in their last 10. They've been nice. They're playing 2 against my New York Mets, so we'll have to see how they do. They have the sole and first possession of the wild card spot. Third place, we have the Toronto Blue Jays. Blue Jays, I mean, they had a 1% chance of making the playoffs in, I think, early September. Now, 21 days in, I think they have like a 70% chance of making the playoffs. And they're in the second wild card spot, a game and a half above the New York Yankees. Blue Jays are hot. Blue Jays are 7 in the last 3. They won their last 2. We've been seeing a lot of offensive production from Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette. Kevin Biggio's been out, but he's on a rehab assignment, I believe, in Buffalo. Teoscar Hernandez. And on the pitching side, I mean, Alek Manoah's been a nice rookie for them. Robbie Ray's going to be probably a Cy Young candidate. Their pitching's been holding down, and that was the question, for them this season. Steven Matz has been holding down good numbers. Did pretty well against the Twins, obviously, at Rogers Center. Blue Jays, they're a scary team. I think this is the first time they had like 3 or 4 players with over 100 RBIs. Vlad, Bichette, and Hernandez. So good to see out of them. And now, obviously, the New York Yankees, they've been struggling. They lost 2 out of 3 against the Cleveland baseball team. We'll call it that because why not? Cleveland, I mean, they got a little oofed against the Cleveland Indians. They only took 1 out of 3. The last 2 games, they pretty much got demolished by a 10-run run differential. Garrett Cole had a pretty unfortunate start. Gave up 7 runs. You don't like to see that in your ace. Yankees playoff chances, I mean, they're alive mathematically, but I don't know. We're going to have to see how the Yankees, Aaron Boone's going to have to put his best lineup out there every single day if he really thinks he has a chance at making the playoffs, even a wild card spot. Now getting into 5th place, the Baltimore Orioles, and they're eliminated from the playoffs. They officially have 100 losses. I actually said that the Diamondbacks would be the first to 100, but no, it was the Orioles. We are going to have to see what goes on with the Orioles. I mean, they started off the season. I think they had a good first 10-game stretch, and then they kind of continued to be themselves. So now getting into the AL Central, we could see getting into the American League Central. Chicago White Sox pretty much own the division. They're probably going to win their division, no doubtly. Who did the White Sox play this season? They probably played someone I remember. I probably just don't remember. White Sox are playing 3 against the Tigers. That's right. They played against the Rangers, and they took 2 out of 3. Yeah, White Sox are looking good. Obviously, their pitching staff has been looking nice. Their pitching staff is healthy now. We know, Giolito being, injured, not healthy. Dylan Cease. It's been a big question for them. But I think, honestly, if their bullpen can continue to stay solid and the offense can continue to stay solid, I think they are fine. Dylan Cease has been, breaking out the second half. I think he had, 7 starts with double-digit strikeouts. So Cease has been nice for them. I could see them having a nice pitching staff in the playoffs. In terms of second place, we have the Cleveland Indians coming off 2 out of 3 against the New York Yankees. That was something that was needed. They're, like I said, they're alive mathematically, but the odds of them making the playoffs are very limited. They are 1 game under 500. They're 5-5 in their last 10, coming off a 2-game winning spree. Coming off in third place, the Detroit Tigers. Coming off a good series. They've been hot. I think they won both series against the Rays, and they won a series against the Brewers. This team is really ready to compete. I mean, 480 record. I mean, look how close they are to 500. They're going to be pretty big this offseason. I could see them going after guys like Correa. I mean, you have AJ Hinch as the manager. Hinch and Correa, that's a good matchup there. Obviously you have all your prospects being called up. They're offering extensions already to Candelario and Shoop. So Tigers are going to be something in a year, I think. Honestly, I think next year they could be contenders. Call me crazy, but I could see them next year. Especially since the AL Central is kind of collapsed to an extent besides the White Sox. Fourth place, eliminated already. We have the Kansas City Royals. Nothing really crazy. They had a tough series against the one and only Seattle Mariners. My boy Jared Kelenic did hit. He had a nice day yesterday against them. Royals are a team that, their pitching staff was mediocre going into the season. I think like a quarter into the season, I think they were pretty good. They were, I think, at least 6 or 7 games above 500. People thought it would continue. I didn't really think it would last long. 18 games back now. They're a team that's looking to rebuild. You have Salvador Perez, who I think could arguably be in the MVP category. Whit Merrifield's nice. He'll still use some bags. But they really don't have any pitching and a whole lot of offense. And then in fifth place, the most surprising team this season, is the Minnesota Twins. I mean, people were predicting them to win the AL Central. And then surprisingly, look what happened. It's really unfortunate with the Twins. You have Byron Buxton, and that's pretty much it. And maybe Josh Donaldson. Twins really took a Kaputskis. And they are eliminated also. In the AL West, we could see going into the AL West, the Houston Astros are in first place. Houston Astros are a team that is good. Yeah, they had the cheating scandal. Yeah, it affected them a little last year. But they're still a good team offensively and pitching-wise. Even with Justin Verlander out, I mean, Alex Greinke isn't really having a crazy year, and they're still doing a really good time. Obviously, the Astros are a team that look good. I think they have the best winning percentage against teams that are above 500. You have a great lineup with the Houston Astros. I really think they can get pretty far this playoff season. I mean, you have Altuve, Correa, Alex Bregman's coming back from an injury. Jake Myers has been pretty nice for them. Yordan Alvarez. Who else do they have? Kyle Tucker. I mean, he is one of the highest hits per nine in the league. He's really one of the most underrated guys in the league. Michael Brantley with this high average. We all like average. In terms of their pitching staff, I mean, Greinke's been holding down the fort. We saw they made the Kendall Graveman trade. It's been nice for them so far. Lance McCullers Jr. has been nice for them. Framber Valdez, Ryan Presley in the bullpen. This Astros team looks pretty good. Christian Javier, Peter Solomon, I think, is one of their prospects who should be called up pretty soon. Houston Astros, I mean, regardless of the cheating scandal, they're a good team. They are a good team. So yeah, we're gonna have to see. They'll probably win the division. Sorry about that. I was getting a text message. In terms of second place in the American League West, we could see that we have the Oakland Athletics at 82 and 67. I think they are a game or two out of 500. We'll look at that in a minute. A's are having a nice season. A lot of people were debating if they would be competing for that division spot, and they still are. The odds of it are pretty minimal now. It sucks. The A's are a really good team. They have, really underrated ownership, in my opinion. They have Bob Melvin, who will be a future New York Met manager, because, of course. A's are a good team. I mean, Matt Chapman's been breaking out the second half. Matt Chapman was really struggling in the first half, being a free swinger, striking at everything, having a high strikeout rate. Matt Olson has been really good for them. Like I said, Chapman's been having a good second half. Olson's been having a good year all around. I think Olson will be in the MVP category, and we're going to have to see how that really goes for them. In terms of third place, the Seattle Mariners, coming off 2 out of 3 against the Royals. They've been nice, 5-5 in their last 10. They have a good winning spree going on so far with 1, so see if they can continue that. They've been a very underrated team. Not really many crazy guys on that Mariners team. Kyle Lewis has been out for a while. We saw they made some bullpen moves during the trade deadline. I think they'll be pretty active during the offseason. And then you got the Angels who, imagine if Trout was healthy. I mean, you'd have Ohtani and Trout, both hitting 80 home runs, all season. So that would be pretty great. 80 home runs combined, obviously. And then you have the Angels, like I said, and then the Rangers, who mathematically eliminated. They traded away pretty much Gallo and Gibson at the trade deadline. Now getting into the National League, the first place, we have the Atlanta Braves, a team that really addressed their needs at the deadline. They were coming off a little bit of a slump. 4 in their last 6. They took 1 out of 3 against the Giants. That was very needed. Eddie Rosario hit for the cycle yesterday. Eddie Rosario has been really nice for the Braves. Pretty much we saw the Acuna injury and then obviously the Marcell Ozuna leave of absence. And in return, the Braves really needed some type of remedy to fill out that outfield spot. You got Jock Peterson, you got Eddie Rosario, you got Jorge Soler, and they've been holding down the fort. Ozzy Albies has been nice. Freddie Freeman has been nice. And this Braves team is doing something. The injuries was a big thing with them. Max Fried has been looking pretty solid, no complaints. Their pitching has really been taking a big step. And we'll see if they can continue it. I mean, obviously Phillies are in second place. They're 2 games back. They kind of killed my Mets, took 2 out of 3 against my Mets. They're on a 1-game losing spree, and they're 5-5 in their last 10. Phillies are looking pretty good. The bullpen, they were a good team offensively, I felt. It's just their bullpen really blew a lot of games for them. And now I feel their bullpen is pretty much kind of getting much better to an extent. I mean, you brought in Ian Kennedy, and he pretty much kind of, I guess, saved a fair amount of games for them. It's better than putting in, Alvarado or I don't know, whoever else they got in Philly. Alvarado, Bradley. Phillies have been doing something. And you have Harper as an MVP, so, I mean, it'd be unfortunate if the Phillies don't make it, with Harper having an MVP type of season. In terms of third place team, my New York Mets, 3-7 in their last 10. Not something you like to see. They have a 1-game winning streak, so that's what you like to see. 5.5 games back in the division. Obviously, I think the chances are very slim. Tough season, we all know. Then you got the Marlins and Nationals, who were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Good to see the Marlins starting to get up there. They're in 4th place rather than 5th. Not by much, but still solid. Marlins, like I said, they may not look good in the standings, but they're still a team that, will get things done. The Marlins are, they have the young talent. They have the swag. You got Chaz Chisholm, Lewis Brinson, Edwin Diaz. This Marlins team will look good. And then you got a nice young rotation. Sandy Alcantara, Tyler Rogers, Trevor Rogers, my apologies. Jesus Luzardo. This will be a good team for them ahead. And Nationals, they're pretty much 5th place Nationals, building off of Soto and some of their prospects. Going into the NL Central, we could see the Milwaukee Brewers. They clinched the playoff spot. They will be in the playoffs, most likely the division, unless they lose every single game. And the Cardinals win every single game. 7 in their last spree. They had a good series coming off. Brewers are looking good. And this is without Christian Yelich looking in full form, so that's crazy. Second place, you have the St. Louis Cardinals, as stated. Solid team. Arenado's been waking up. They've been having athleticism on the base pass, stealing bases, trying to score any run production they can. Third place, Cincinnati Reds. They're competing in the wild card spot. They've been looking solid. Joey Votto had a really nice, month spree. Chilled out a little, but he's still looking pretty solid. Chicago Cubs, really no complaints with them. Pittsburgh Pirates, 5th place, mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. They've having a better season than I expected. I didn't even expect them to get 50 wins this season, so good to see the Pirates trying to rebuild. Brian Hayes, guys like them. Now in the West, Giants and Dodgers are both in the playoffs. That is proven. Dodgers are 1 game back. Obviously, this will be a huge thing to see who's going to take the division, the Dodgers or the Giants. We're going to have to see. It's going to be a ride. It really is. Giants got a pretty easy schedule, or Dodgers, pretty easy schedules for both of them. These teams are amazing. Like I said, with the Giants, I didn't expect them to be finishing in 1st place or 2nd place. I had them as a 3rd or 4th place team. But, their veteran core, Brandon Belt, Crawford, Posey has really been stepping up. Longoria, that veteran presence has been stepping up. Their pitching has been nice for them, and they've been getting the job done. These guys are, Crawford, Posey, they're hitting for like a 240 average, but then they'll knock like 35 home runs in. So it's crazy to see. And then you got the Padres, kind of disappointing season. They're coming off a losing spree, got swept by the St. Louis Cardinals, had high expectations. Sadly, Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, kind of took a collapse in the first half, and they got it together, but time's a little too late. Injuries with guys like Tatis were something. They got Adam Frazier at the trade deadline to kind of cure some production, but hasn't really been doing much. He's been doing much, but isn't really a guy who's going to hit for power. You got the Cardinals, 4th place. Pretty surprising. I didn't expect the Rockies. I didn't expect the Colorado Rockies to be in 4th place and, be 9 games under 500. 7-3 in their last 10. That's crazy. Rockies are hot right now. That's crazy. And that's with trading away Nolan Arenado and having a rotation of nobody crazy, maybe Gomber. And then 5th place, you have the Arizona Diamondbacks, mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. 101 losses, no complaints. Now getting into the playoffs and what will go on. So if the season were to end right now, we will have the Tampa Bay Rays, the Houston Astros, and the Chicago White Sox taking the division. And in the 2 wild card spots, we would have the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, with the Yankees, A's, Mariners kind of trailing behind, as well as Cleveland and Anaheim. And Tigers are still up there mathematically. Personally, I think this will stand. Obviously, the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Red Sox and Rays pretty much are playing each other for the rest of the year. Rays are playing Blue Jays, Red Sox are playing the Yankees, Blue Jays against the Yankees, Blue Jays against the Red Sox, Blue Jays against the Rays. They're pretty much playing against each other. So, if Boone wants to make the playoffs, he's going to have to put his best lineup out there every day. Blue Jays, they're going to have to keep hitting like the way they are. Their pitching is going to have to continue to be excellent. Red Sox, they're going to have to be consistent, as always. And Rays, I think the Rays are kind of safe. You have a pretty fair lead in 6.5 games above. So, yeah, Mariners are 3 games back. A's are 2 games back. So we'll have to see. In terms of the National League, if the playoffs were to start today, we would have the Giants, Brewers, and Braves winning the division, with the Dodgers and Cardinals in the wild card spot. That'd be a good wild card game, I believe. Personally, I think this... Let's see who the Dodgers are playing. Dodgers schedule. So the Dodgers are playing the Rockies, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and the Brewers. So they got a pretty easy schedule to an extent. Now let's take a look, see at who the Giants are going to be playing. San Francisco Giants. They are going to be playing the Padres, Rockies, Diamondbacks, and Padres. So they're pretty much playing all in-division games the rest of the season for the most part. It's going to be close. They're literally a game back. So honestly, I think the Dodgers are going to take the division. Brewers and Braves. And I think the wild card spot is going to be Giants. And I think the Cardinals will take it. Cardinals have been nice. And obviously overall, as we could see, best team in baseball is Giants. Worst team in baseball is the Orioles. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. I would imagine another Cubs loss, and they probably would be eliminated also. So that is what is going on in the standings. In terms of the wild card, I'll go over a couple more comments, then we will call it a stream. So if anyone else has any more comments, questions, or concerns, drop them below as always. So Ice Cube says, do you think the Mets will tank for a better draft pick? That's the thing, and it depends. Are they going to – because, it really lies with Conforto to an extent, because if they give the qualifying offer, then they lose the draft pick. We know that the Mets do have the compensation pick over the Kumar Rocker thing, so they have the 11th, and as of right now, I think they would have the 13th pick if things continue to stand in the division right now. So it's good to see they have 2 picks. It sucks because they pretty much built this draft around Kumar Rocker. I've ranted enough about Kumar Rocker on this channel with what happened, so it's not worth getting into it anymore. But yeah, we're going to have to see what their approach is. Obviously, you want to draft outfield. Pretty much besides Kolioli, who's MLB ready, you don't really have many guys in the outfield. So our outfield is pretty minimum. And yeah, we're honestly going to have to see how that goes. Alrighty. Congrats on 4. Oh, I appreciate it, AB. I appreciate it, man. Kobe says Rays can get 100 wins. They could. It's very possible, man. Facts. All I speak is facts, Devin. You know the vibes. Okay. Mr. Cool, what's going on? Yeah, I'd like to go over the standings, little new thing on the channel. See, get some non-Mets fans' point of view on what's going on with their team. Axon Jackson, what's going on, man? I appreciate you tuning in. Action Jackson says Detroit is solid this year. 3rd place for a rebuilding team. Tigers are looking good. I had a feeling AJ Hinch would really help this team out. Twins collapsed. Yes, I'm going to say yes just because it happened so suddenly. I didn't expect the Twins to just go from a 1st place, 2nd place to a 5th place team just like that. So, yeah. Twins have an unfortunate season. I appreciate you tuning in, man. Always good to see you. Hopefully the Mets get the wild card. Chances are like 1%, but you never know. AB is going to say, Connor, they didn't really collapse. They were bad from the start. They just had a solid deadline. Yeah, they collapsed from what they were supposed to be, but yeah. Mitchell says Marlins should be back to playing and completing. I think you mean competing in 2 to 4 years. Honestly, yeah. I mean, hopefully you heard my little saying about the Marlins. They're a good team, solid players. Don't be fooled by the standings. They have a nice young rotation, nice young prospects, farm system, and a nice young team. Seahawks talk with Jose. What's going on, man? Seahawks, Jose, what's going on? Devin, of course. Devin says, what position should the Mets go for this offseason? That's a good question. Personally, I think the Mets need to go out for outfield. Obviously, going into this offseason, the only guys that are really concrete and official to be on the Mets roster for outfield next year is Brandon Nimmo, and that's literally it. Jeff McNeil is not a natural outfielder, so it's likely McNeil will still play out left field, but he could possibly play third. We don't know. So McNeil isn't a natural outfielder, so I'm just going to consider natural outfielders, and in that case, it's just Brandon Nimmo that's locked down. McNeil will probably still play left field, hopefully, or not hopefully, but most likely. So you'll have McNeil. Dom Smith is still questionable if you're going to trade him, and once again, he's not a natural outfielder. Khalil Lee, I think, will probably be on the Mets opening day roster next season. So I think you could probably throw him on that list. Where he'll play, maybe he'll take some reps in left, center. I mean, maybe he'll start off as a bench guy, as a defensive adjustment. He's been a guy who, when he was up with the Mets in May and June, he wasn't really making much contact, just more of a nice defensive guy. But in AAA, he's been raking with the bat. So he's been making contact, squaring up, leveling the bat, hitting for power. I like it. So yeah, outfield is definitely the thing. We know with Conforto, he may walk, qualifying offer, he's still uncertain. So really, the only guys are really Nimmo. I mean, I don't know if they'll resign Pilar, and that's really it. I mean, that's really it. Of course, Christopher, of course. I appreciate you tuning in, man. And Kobe says, I love GM. Yes. So if anyone else has any more comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to drop them in the comment section down below. We will probably call it a stream here. We had a great stream. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning into today's stream. As always, channel's doing pretty well. The offseason is coming very soon. I do definitely want to stream a couple playoff games, regardless when the Mets make it or don't make it. Don't make it, pretty much. So I definitely may want to stream some Blue Jays games, some Rays games, Dodgers games. I definitely want to stream some playoff games. Yes, my knowledge is mainly to the Mets, but I could still cover it, is the point. So yeah, I definitely want to stream some games during the playoffs. I think I am going to do that. So yeah, we're going to have to see what happens this offseason. There's going to be a lot of streams this offseason, a lot of videos. I know I've been streaming a lot, less videos, more streams, but it works. So yeah, otherwise, we're going to have to see. I do want to do some game streams, though. I potentially am debating about streaming for the Brewers. Brewers and Mets should be a nice matchup there. So I probably am going to live stream that game. And yeah, otherwise, we're going to have to see how that goes. I'm trying to think what else there is. I mean, obviously, Mets are off tonight, so we'll see what games are on. I guess we could see what games are on. I mean, it sucks to see the Mets not play tonight, but hey, 100% the Mets will not lose today. Isn't that awesome? So I'll probably tune in to the Blue Jays and Rays game, 7:10. See Shane Baz, I think is his name, make his debut from the farm system. Orioles and Phillies at 7:05. That should be cool, I guess. Yankees and Rangers, 7:05. Maybe the Rangers can get something done. White Sox and Tigers, they've been pretty hot, both of those teams, the last couple weeks. So we'll see. We will see. But, yeah, I'm probably going to call it a stream here. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream, as always. Let me check Twitter, see if anything is new, because why not? So taking a look-see at Twitter. Twitter seems to be pretty quiet. Juan Soto's hitting well. Big surprise. Salvador Perez just hit a home run. Yeah, that dude has been amazing. Yes, I mean, Twitter looks pretty quiet. So I just want to check Twitter. Never know if anything happens. But yeah, we're probably going to call it a stream here. Appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream. And I forgot I haven't really been doing like my chair outro in a while. So maybe that's why the Mets are losing, because I'm not doing the chair outro. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications. If you're rewatching us on replay, kudos to you. Let's freaking go, Mets. Let's try to get something rolling ahead. Till next time, baseball fans. See ya. Little FGM. Let's go, Mets. Let's go, Mets, boys.